Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Could you please give us your name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped...
Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire financier and sex offender, being questioned after police uncovered that underage sex ring operating from his Florida mansion. Sounds like fiction. It's not. It's absolutely true, and that is why we are so pleased to welcome to the anchor desk best-selling author James Patterson. Now,
that was quite a piece of footage.
That it really is something, and I've got to tell you, you know, you look at this subject, we see your name. When I go into the bookstores and the library, there are your books, and pick them up and read them, and often you write fiction. But this is all true. In fact, the name of your new book, Filthy Rich, a powerful billionaire, the sex scandal that undid him, and all the justice that money can buy. The shocking true story of Jeffrey Epstein. Now,
it is shocking. It is true.
He's one of your neighbors, or was, in Palm Beach. Did you ever run across him? Did you know him?
No, I never did. I heard a lot about him. I know people who live on his street. I don't think he was there that much, and I don't think he's been there lately. Yeah. In fact, there was a thing when this book came out a couple days before in New York. There was a thing in the New York Daily News, and it warned him to get out of town because this book was coming out.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a stunning story. It's people, you know, talk about the one percenters. This is the one percenters at their worst.
And the way you put this book together differs from the thrillers you've been writing. I mean, you actually have an extended timeline in the works of fiction that keep people in suspense. And did you use that same device for this book, or how did you put together?
It depends on how much people know about the story. You know, I saw Sully the other day, and I was surprised at how much I didn't know about the story. You know, the pilot who landed in the Hudson River. And it's the same thing here, where people know certain things about the story. They maybe know that this guy was arrested for not soliciting, but for having some kind of sex massages with underage girls. 40 of them in this county. So here's this guy. And we went through all the police records, and the police are very cooperative in terms of, and we have interviews with the girls, police interviews with the girls. So here's the story that tells about the police investigation, how thorough it was, interviews with all these girls, and then this guy gets 13 months for involvement with 40 underage girls.
Well, Daily Mail Online exclusively obtained videotapes showing the police combing over Epstein's property way back in October of 2005. Yeah. We had, matter of fact, I think we have some of the video, or some freeze phrase from it, actual video. Here it is. Details how depraved Epstein's liking for young girls was. In fact, some photos were so bad. Yeah, right now this is the G-rated part, but apparently they had to blur out the pictures of some of these young girls. There was one child aged no more than 6 or 7 bending over in a short skirt.
That's just a photograph that anybody could theoretically have in their house. But the reality of it is especially when you read the interviews with these girls, and these are police interviews, so there were no lawyers present, you begin to understand what was going on in his house in Palm Beach. And in terms of the police investigation, how thorough and careful they were. Because one, this is a rich, powerful guy who eventually puts together this dream team of lawyers, Alan Dershowitz, and somehow that intimidates the prosecutors down here to the point where and even when he got this, 13 months, he was allowed to leave prison every day. So at 8 o'clock, a car came and picked him up. He got to go home, and they'd bring him back at 5 or 6 at night. Unbelievable. Well,
you touched on the prosecutors, local prosecutors being reluctant to handle it. Can you explain the different role that differing prosecutors have played in the case? I guess in retrospect, given this man's mobility and notoriety, should this have been a federal case?
Well, it was a federal case, and somehow that went away too. I mean, the police had mounted this incredible investigation, and then they got word that it had been settled, and that he had agreed to, just one count, He went to jail for a very limited amount of time, and the police chief, I mean, just was astounded and tried to somehow, change the verdict or and he couldn't do anything.
Obviously, a veritable list of luminaries.
Yeah.
We look across the Atlantic, our British cousin, so to speak, Prince Andrew.
Well, that's why it was
implicated.
such a huge story over there, because Prince Andrew was definitely involved with Epstein. I don't know that he was involved with the young girls, but he was definitely involved and went to parties with a lot of parties with Epstein, and there were definitely underage girls at the parties. But yeah, no, Donald Trump wasn't really involved in the sense that Epstein would go to Mar-a-Lago and apparently tried to proposition a young girl there. And when Trump heard about it, he banned him from Mar-a-Lago. He said, you can never be here again.
So again, Trump, once he found out about it, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
Well, now, in retrospect, tongues should have been wagging in town. I mean, after all, this is Palm Beach. So when did you pick up, was it gossip from people who knew him, or
I never heard about it. And what happened here was one of the young girls, they would go and solicit these girls at some of the local high schools out in West Palm. And one of the girls had a lot of spending money at school, and that sort of surprised the school, and they approached their parents. And then when the parents talked to this girl, who we call Shannon in the book, the parents took it, Hispanic, they took it to the Palm Beach Police Department, and that was the first that the police ever heard about it. They then got one of the older girls who had been soliciting these younger girls, and they put pressure on her, and she supplied names of a lot of the girls who had been to the house.
Now, when we read Filthy Rich, do we find out, were you able to get inside this guy's head? I mean, why do this? Is it because you're just so rich, just so powerful, you can flout convention, law, morality?
I actually offered to interview him. Not surprisingly, he decided not to be interviewed. But near the end of the book, I reveal this to the reader. I also say, here are some questions I would have asked. And the last question is, do you sleep at night? And who knows? The interesting thing about what we do know about Epstein is that he grew up very poor. He got a job at one of the fanciest prep schools in America without a college degree, which is astounding, the Dalton School. He then somehow built, with no college degree, through associations. He was Leslie Wexner. He was an advisor for Wexner. He became a billionaire.
So in other words, the gift of gab, charm, and other things that you put together and put in the new book. Let's take a look at the cover again. Although Benjamin Franklin says you can't judge a book by its cover, it never hurts to see it when it's on the stands. Filthy Rich. A powerful billionaire, the sex scandal that undid him, and all the justice money can buy. Shocking true story of Jeffrey Epstein.
This book is as close as you will get to the trial that would have just blown the doors off of.
Well, you have given us a fabulous 10 minutes. James Patterson, we thank you for your time. Hope to have you back again soon. More on America Talks Live right after this.